Well, wait for a couple people to get on. We'll wait for a few people to get on here, and we'll start updating. We have so much to say. Oh, it's been a nightmare lately. Still kind of is. All right, Kimmy, I need to turn you on your side. So, this is Cameron in here with me. She's right here. And her puppies. It's really hard for me to try and get, yes, I am in one of these suits. Cameron's in here. She went into labor early. She wasn't technically due until Sunday or Monday. And hang on one second. Is the door closed? And door is locked out? Okay. Let's just start at the beginning. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing with these puppies while you're kind of watching. I'm trying to get a good view of them, but I also want you to hear. I think it's this one. Yep. Can you hear that? Hear that fluid in the lungs? Anytime you have newborn puppies, you want to listen for that fluid in the lungs. You got to get that out of there. So these puppies were just C-sectioned, and we are going to continue using the snot sucker is what we call it. And you'll draw out. I don't know if you heard that or saw it, but I just got some fluid out of its lungs. So you want to be really, really careful. And I know we said we're going to start this breeder series, but all you breeders, whether you're new or experienced, be sure you're checking your puppies for this fluid in their lungs, because to their health. So I got a little bit out of there. You can feel, or you can hear. Oh, no, there it goes again. This is a girl. So they just came out of C-section, and what is going on here is on Monday of last week, there's some more that came out. That's a good thing. And what I'm doing, let me just show you. What I'm doing is using my finger to open the mouth, and I'm putting this right in the back of their throat. It's depressed when it goes in. You hear it? You want to hear that suction. And then I just squeeze it out onto a wipe is what we use here. And we'll see. See, it sounds a little better now. You can't hear the... She is breathing. So you watch their breath. A little clearer, quite a bit clearer actually. So that's a good thing. All right, we need to get some scissors and trim your umbilical off. Or if you're in a pinch, my nails probably won't go through the glove, but if you're in a pinch with your umbilical cords, you can use your nails to kind of shred them. So anyways, back to the story. So Fig goes into the clinic. Fig and Jerica went into the clinic on Monday of last week, and went in to do a TCI, pretty standard. She didn't really want to stand for a breeding. So what I'm going to do here, this puppy sounds great. This is actually one that was born at the house. There's another one in here that's raspy though, so I want to figure out who that is. It's this one. I want you to hear this. I hope you can. Can you hear that? Anybody comment if you can hear that? Oh, you know what? You might need it to be up here because I don't know where my microphone is. My microphone might be on my Bluetooth. Can you hear that? Somebody said I hear it. There it is again. So let me know if you can hear that. I want everybody to know what this sounds like. Breeders and non-breeders, with what's going on around right now, you need to hear this, and you need to be listening to all of your dogs for it. A sniffle, a cough, any type of raspiness in their breath, anything like that. So because this is a puppy, we're going to use the bulb sucker. I don't know where the microphone is on this Bluetooth thing actually, but I'm going to get the puppy right in here. You hear that there? Is that any better? Okay, seems like everybody's able to hear it. So you can always go back and rewind it on the replay and listen to that again. Again, bulb, depress the bulb. It goes into the back of the throat. Can you see that? That big hunk of stuff I got out of there? You got to get that crap out of there. That'll kill your puppies. So Fig goes in on Tuesday for a breeding, and everything went well with the breeding. I got home on Tuesday night, and by Thursday p.m., Fig started with a little bit of a cough. And by Friday, we realized it was more than just, typical, sometimes dogs cough. By Friday, Fig is coughing profusely. Why did that happen to puppies? The raspiness in their lungs right now is a combination of they just came home from C-section, and because I'm going to explain what's going on here. So you just have to hang with us. It's not a short story, and I'm sorry for that. Hopefully people will have time to hang in. If not, watch the replay. This is some really good information that I think people need to know. We don't normally go live. There was another big hunk of stuff coming out. So sometimes you'll get that fluid come out of C-section. But so Thursday, Fig starts coughing. By Friday, he's coughing enough that we know we have a problem. So we assume that our vet gives Bordetella when all boarding dogs go in. So Fig had to stay at the clinic for a little bit, and so did Jerica as we were transporting dogs back and forth. And we assumed initially that they were exposed to kennel cough because our vet uses the intranasal vaccine. The intranasal vaccine is a modified live virus, which essentially means the vaccines that you give in an injection are a killed virus. They can't be shed. A modified live virus, especially an intranasal one, can be actually shed out of the dog's body and infect non-vaccinated or even sometimes vaccinated dogs, depending on their immune system. So both Jerica and Fig were exposed to the clinic setting, not for very long, maybe an hour or two each. And Fig started coughing real bad on Friday, so we assume it's a kennel cough situation. Jerica started on Saturday, and we didn't even know that this was a problem, so didn't have anywhere to separate Fig to, because Fig is in the house, Jerica's in the kennel. The only clean place we had in our facility at this point was the basement and the puppy room. So we have 4 different areas, which usually allows us to contain just about anything if we were to come in contact with something. It's how we can, send our dogs out to show and things like that, and try and not contaminate pregnant mothers, litters we may have on the ground, things like that. And so because we didn't know what Fig had, he had been out in the back where some of the dogs that stay downstairs go outside during the day, and has now had contact with them. So now we have upstairs, downstairs, and the kennel all exposed to what we assume at this point is kennel cough. It gets worse over the weekend. Some of them start coughing real bad on Monday. Touched base with the vet and found out that what we are probably dealing with is not just Bordetella, which is kennel cough. It is potentially this new flu thing that's going around. It starts off as a kennel cough type situation. And the reason why I'm getting on here is because even pet owners, please keep your dogs home. This stuff is spreading like wildfire right now. Just keep your dogs home. Don't go to dog parks. Don't go to daycare. Don't go to things like that. Just keep them home if you can. Keep them home. Keep them safe. And if your dog has even the slightest symptom, call your vet. Don't take them into the vet's office. This is highly contagious. Call them, get them tested, get them treated. So we now have, at this point, when I spoke to the vet, we had 12 symptomatic dogs. So 3 potential, well, we had 2 pregnant females. I'm sorry, 3, because Cameron here was due. Technically, she was due like Sunday, Monday of this week. Obviously, these puppies have come early. So wasn't really anything we could do about the spread of it in the areas where it had already been, where we had already been. So what we did is, at that point, well, when we started having the cough, we started putting, see this wonderful suit I have on, and that's how we would come into this area where I'm at, which is where Zammy was with the 5 Corso puppies and the 5 bully puppies. So far, knock on wood, we have managed to keep it from spreading into this room. Obviously, bringing Cameron into here, Cameron was coughing on Tuesday and Wednesday of last week, and then she stopped coughing. So we were under the assumption, we've been splitting tasks here. So I've been primarily taking care of the dogs in the house, and Eric's been going down and taking care of the dogs in the barn. And he assumed, as I would have, that she wasn't coughing, so she was getting better. Well, she wasn't coughing any longer, but today, when we went down there, he went down just before we were heading, honestly, to Aiden's parent-teacher conferences, and he's like, there's a puppy down here. Mind you, she's not due till Sunday or Monday. So we had a scheduled C-section for her, but obviously that didn't happen. So he's like, there's a puppy down here. Now we've got to deal with, she has definitely got something. Long story short there, we take her into the vet where they run progesterone. The heartbeats were slow on the puppies, but still okay. Ran progesterone to see if she was actually in labor, because she spit one puppy out here and weren't really sure if that was because of the coughing, because she had something going on. They ran her temp there. She was 103. So being lethargic and 103, they're assuming that she has a version of the flu, potentially trying to head into pneumonia. The best call we could make was to send Cameron in for C-section, get the puppies out. We're hoping that she has a level of immunity to pass on to these puppies. All of this is kind of uncharted waters, because the vets don't even know for sure what we're dealing with right now. So we had thought about Zammy, the bully, does still have milk. Her puppies are 5 weeks old, but she does still have milk. And we had thought about putting the puppies on Zammy, but probably the puppies have already been exposed to this as well. So better, we know Cameron's a great mother. She's not feeling well. She doesn't have much milk, hardly at all right now. I can barely get any out. But the antibodies that she does have, we're hoping that she will pass on to the puppies. Now, her oxygen levels did not drop during her C-section, which is a really good sign. The puppies are on plasma every 2 hours until they're really getting lively and we're happy with them. So she had her antibiotics. She had an albuterol treatment. I gotta keep these guys separate. That was I believe this is a girl. Yep, this is a girl. We have 3 girls, yeah, there's the other one. 3 girls, 3 boys. Why don't you come over here where it's warmer? I know. You come over here where it's warmer. Never feed a cold puppy. That's another lesson we want to learn through all this. The puppy that was born down in the kennel was very cold when Eric found Turn this phone call off. Could you let her know we're busy? So Cameron is sick. She is on erythromycin, which after a consult with the specialty hospital in Nashville, is supposed to be safe for both pregnant and nursing. So anything here that is pregnant and symptomatic is going to be put on that. And the others are on amoxicillin. Now that we know it's not just a kennel cough, we do need to treat it. It's the weird thing is when they're running panels, if you're not getting the test done within the first 48 hours of symptoms, the flu is not showing up on the test. The only thing that's showing up is basically mitochondria, which they're believing is secondary to the flu. So everyone is going to go on amoxicillin that is not pregnant or nursing, and that's what we were using for them because it is also safe, but the erythromycin will help better with the respiratory issues. And these puppies, we don't know. This is completely, it's a new thing that's going around. That's why I say just, keep your dogs home. If you don't have to take them anywhere, don't take them anywhere. And we'll try and go live. I can do this a couple of times a day if anybody's interested, and you can kind of keep up with these guys. We're hoping and praying that these puppies, don't catch this, because trying to treat neonates for anything is really difficult. So I'm going to be bottle feeding them. The only thing I don't like about gloves when you're bottle feeding is you really don't get a good gauge on body temperature. This one's raspy too. Yeah, you are. I need to get collars on them so I can see if this is the same one I already got some out of or not. We got to get that fluid out of their lungs. Now, Cameron will be on antibiotics, and that should, just drawing from my common sense here, it should pass through the milk into the puppies, which is why we can't give pregnant and nursing dogs anything that is not good for the puppies. Come on, baby. The good thing is we've got suckle reflex on 3 of the 6 so far. Suckle reflex is really important, so we're going to be giving them both colostrum. Yes, I didn't read that whole comment. I saw something about tubing. I can tube them. I prefer not to, if they have a good suckle reflex. That way I can keep them on them, because if you tube feed consistently, they will lose their suckle reflex, and I definitely don't want to do that. I don't want to set this litter up to have to be a hand-raised litter. I want her to be able to raise them if she can, with our assistance, obviously. But I may, any of them that don't have a suckle reflex, yes, we'll go to tube feeding them. And or if they stay raspy like that, if they stay raspy, there is a higher chance of them aspirating the milk, feeding them via the bottle versus tube feeding. So if we end up with puppies that are very raspy and I see that they're aspirating, which means the milk is coming out of their nose, I will resort to tube feeding those as well. And if we do, I'll go through, I can give you the whole tutorial on tube feeding. But yeah, keep your dogs home. The vets aren't even positive what the heck this is that's going around. I'm just, when you talk to a vet and they're like, the best decision we can make is to try to, like, there's no definitive answers here. The only thing we can do, like, I literally have a suit for in here because obviously this area is now contaminated, being that Cameron is sick. So I have a suit for in here. Luckily, here in Tennessee, our weather is going to be nice for the next few days. So rather than where the puppies normally have the ability, mind you, we have 5 Corso puppies and 5 bully puppies at this time, where they normally have the ability to go in and out, we have locked them outside. The weather's going to be nice. We've given them some, we gave them shelter outside. And we're going to keep them outside in the open air, where the dogs that are upstairs go out in the front yard only. The dogs that are downstairs go out in the side yard only. So and the dogs in the kennel are not leaving the kennel at this point. They're not running around in the yard. So we should have a very clean area there outdoors with no exposure to Zammy, who's the bully mother, and she's kind of mothering everybody out there right now. They don't really need her anymore because even the bully puppies are 5 weeks old. But I don't want to take her out of there and put her, who's not sick, in with other sick dogs and kind of purposefully give it to her. I mean, I know she'll catch it if I take her out of there, so it's just not fair to her. So while she's healthy, she can stay out there with the puppies. She's not really letting them nurse from her much. So we're going to let her stay out there with them. I still got to get some scissors for that. I think this is getting cold, which is why I hate gloves, because I can't tell temperature. So luckily my heat is on the ground. So what I do is I just lift it up and I put it underneath it here, and it'll warm that milk back up. Anyway, so those puppies are outside and can't get into this room. So the only dogs in this room are these ones right here. And you can see, I mean, besides she just came off of anesthesia, but she's just, earlier I could kind of hear her breathing, even though she did just have the breathing treatment. She will continue to get both her antibiotics and the breathing treatments. You don't want to see me, we want to see the pups. I'm trying to get that to balance up here. There. I know she's such a good girl. It's just so unfair to all these dogs, and you know, it's, as much as you want to be irritated with the vet clinic, it's not their fault either. You know, they don't know when things come in, and kind of the situation with this, why it got into their clinic is one of the you got definite fluid in your lungs. Oh, it's a baby. All right, let's see if we can get some of that out of your lungs for you, okay? I hate that I can't tell their temperature well, but I don't want to risk. I mean, I can put clean gloves on every time I come in here. Yep, we got some out of there. Whereas, you know, hands are, that's why medical facilities use gloves. Hands aren't always sanitary, so I want to be sure that the best place to check for their temperature is in their mouth and on their belly. So even though a puppy's body feels warm, their stomach and their mouth is where you can really get, you know, besides actually getting a thermometer out, that's where you can get a good gauge on where their temperatures, you know, if their body temperature is up. If you stick your finger in their mouth and they're at all cold, you can't feed them. You gotta make sure that they warm up before. I'm gonna have to put a finger in there because I can't tell. He's a little colder than what I'd like, and he was laying off to the side over there. So I'm going to let him warm up for a minute before I actually feed him. And we'll give this bottle another minute to warm up. But, yeah, just talking to the vet today, I just really got no answers. Basically, we're throwing antibiotics at him, hoping that that's going to stop it. But nobody can tell me what's going to happen with these puppies. And we had to try and make the best call, which was to put the puppies on Cameron, who is actually the mother and may have some sort of antibodies to whatever this is. Hopefully she's built some. But anybody who, if you're a prayer, we can use prayers. If you're a jingler, we can use jingles. Whatever it is, we could use everything going on right now. These are things that, this one's raspy too. These are things that breeders go through, and you know, as much as a lot of people would just kind of keep it quiet, I think it's important for people to know and follow along, and see what's going to happen here. All the steps that we're taking to keep things from spreading, because once it's in your facility, it's, you know, like I said, usually if we've got a clue that there's something going around, we can separate them out. But this just came on so fast and out of nowhere that we had 2 dogs from 2 separate areas exposed, and then before we even knew what was going on, it had spread to the dogs that are downstairs as well. So luckily we did manage to hopefully so far keep it from the current puppies that are on the ground, but I had to get a hold of the vet that does ear props, and the right thing to do is to be honest with them about what's going on and not infect their facility. So anybody who is interested in the puppies, we will have females available out of the Corso puppies that are 7 weeks old right now. The female, well, there's one male, and he'll be spoken for. It is a complete import litter. Mother was imported pregnant, so we're working on registration right now as well with this whole deal with the Russian registrations. But anyways, the puppies out there are healthy. I contacted that vet, told them what's going on. They do not have it in their clinic yet. This is something that's been up in Nashville. It's been in Clarksville. So, like my vet said, it was just a matter of time before it got to the clinic here. And they did track it back to where it came from, or where they suspect it came from. I guess there's no definitive answers here. But some dogs have actually passed away from this. Okay, I guess we blinked out for a minute. Thus far, everyone here is seeming to be still acting pretty well normal. All the ones upstairs. So Fig started coughing last week Thursday. Today would make that, he was officially coughing bad on Friday. So today would make that. Some are able to fight it off. Others need antibiotics for help. Some dogs with lower immune systems have ended up hospitalized over this, and some have passed away. So keep an eye on your dogs. I follow us along this journey. It's absolutely terrible what's going on here. And you can see, like, this puppy is not, usually even a newborn is, squirming around a little bit. And so these puppies are kind of lethargic. I can still hear, even after getting that out, you hear it? I can still hear that in the lungs. This is, I'm going to see if this one wants to eat a little bit right now, and then we'll go through and we'll give everybody plasma. So they're going to be getting, oh, that's good. You got a really good suckle reflex. They'll get plasma every 2 hours, 2 to 3. And I have to read the directions on camera and stuff to see how often her medication is. But basically, anybody who's having any type of, if they have a fever and they're not bred, they're going on Rimadyl. If they have a fever and they are bred, well, we have to just continue the course with antibiotics because we can't risk the puppy's developmental. Doxycycline is an ideal treatment for this, but we can't give that to pregnant and or nursing. It's not good for dogs, young dogs either. Just put that in your memory bank. No doxy except for fully developed mature dogs that are not pregnant or nursing. That's a good sign. Cameron's up, and she's not up, but she's got her head up. She's kind of acting more normal as a dog coming out of C-section. Typically, I wouldn't be bottle feeding these puppies this young, but I want to make sure that they do, because she doesn't really have much milk, and I want to make sure that they get some nutrition in their body, because nutrition is going to be important for them if they've got to fight this off. And I'm wondering, we had one of our families, Maggie, if anybody knows, it was a while ago, and Maggie was really in bad shape. Not here, she lives with her family, and she had contracted a respiratory disease a couple times from the facility where she went to daycare. And I'm now wondering if this is what, was it Maggie? It wasn't Maggie. Crap. My brain is so fried. We obviously haven't had much sleep since all this happened. No, Maggie's here in Tennessee. Crap, I can't think of her name. Anyway, she's up near St. Louis, and if you're on the page, on the puppy page, you'll know who I'm talking about, because she got pneumonia really bad. Yes, Ellie Mae, thank you. She got pneumonia really, really bad, and I'm wondering if that was kind of the beginnings of this before they really knew what it was, because she was even hospitalized for it, and we were all really worried about her, and she did pull through, thankfully. But I do wonder if that's what she had back then, if it had started going around. So when we're going to administer plasma to these puppies, these 3 ml syringes, so what I did is I sterilized the outside of this, and we use these ones, you know, any type of contamination. So because this only fits so far down in there, it goes in about yay deep. Typically it won't suck all that out of there. This is a 3 ml syringe. So what I normally do is just plug the end, and then I'm going to dump this in here from the bottom. Wishing you had 3 hands, if not more, at this point. Put this somewhere where it's not going to fall. And then you're going to put your plunger back in. Now remember, you're pressurizing this when you're putting the plunger in. So tip it over, give it a second, make sure all the liquid is down from the top, because when you let go, it's going to, you know, that pressure releases. And then you can just push that up in there and then cap off anything that you have left in your, this is a blood collection tube that we put in. Yeah, so if you're not on the puppy page itself, that's only for our puppy families. You probably wouldn't know who Ellie Mae is, but so when we're administering this plasma to these puppies, and you should do this, anybody, any breeder, if you have a litter, whether you're experienced or not, I truly believe in this. 2 drops under the tongue. And so we're going to do this for these puppies. We are going to do this every 2 to 3 hours until they're lively, feisty, non-raspy. And what this does is there's a thing that's called passive transfer. And passive transfer is the transfer of the antibodies from mother to the puppies. And in horses, when we bred horses, we would always pull blood at 12 hours, because after 12 hours after 24 in the horses, you can't increase it anymore. But anyways, we would pull the blood, and we would run what was called an IgG, and that would tell us whether the foal in horses, again, that would tell us if the foal got passive transfer from antibodies from mom or not. Now, they don't do that in dogs, so what we do instead is we started probably 10 years ago administering plasma to every single litter that is born. Every puppy gets it no matter what. And that way it's kind of a backup for if they didn't get it from mom, they're getting it through this plasma. And that is also, just FYI, that's the treatment. If we get a low IgG in the horses, that was what the treatment was to administer plasma. Now, that was a pretty invasive procedure with the horses, where we tranquilized them, laid them down, and ran it as an IV situation. But the puppies here, we can just give this orally, not quite so invasive with them. And then we also have, I'm going to go grab it and I'll show you the product. We have an oral calcium that we order. And it's from Revival. I don't know, not calcium, an oral colostrum. My brain is so overworked right now. So we order this. So the plasma, we send in one of our dogs usually once or twice a year, and they collect the blood and they spin it down. So this is the what you will see once the blood is all spun down and the plasma rises to the top. It's what we use for most of our progesterone testing and things like that we do here as well. So we do have the ability here, if we're in a pinch, we can draw the blood, spin it down, and make our own plasma. But typically for the puppies, we try to be prepared, so we'll send a dog in, like I said, once or twice a year, depending on how many litters you have and how much blood you collect. And then it will sit at the vet's office. They will wait for it to properly separate. They put it in these tubes here, and then they go in the freezer until we're ready to use them. And then when we have a litter, as soon as they go into whelping, we'll put that into a we'll put this into a glass of warm water, let it thaw out, and as the puppies are born, we clean them up. As soon as we get, their airways cleared, get them warmed up, cleaned up, umbilicals taken care of, they get that plasma right away. This is something else that we've also started doing. It's called Nurture Mate. We started ordering that from Revival. It is what's the name of their products? Breeder's Edge. I like all the Breeder's Edge products. The only thing that doesn't seem to be working quite as well anymore is they reformulated their Oral Cal Plus, and it does not seem to work as well, so we always keep CalSorb on hand as well. But so the only negative with this is that they have to get 2 mLs of it, and 2 mLs is a lot to give a puppy, a newborn especially. I don't have my glasses on. Hopefully I can see. So you probably can't see it, but I've already given 1. And so you just run the dial down there to 2 mLs, and then as you depress the plunger, 2 mLs will come out. So what we do is, get these guys separated out. So this, again, this Nurture Mate is you can give it, I don't have my glasses on right now, but I believe it was wasn't it every 3 hours?
What's that?
Wasn't the Nurture Mate every 3 hours that you can give it? I should have put my glasses on. But if I have Eric go grab them for me. Well, I could, can you spray some Lysol on them and then give them to me? Everything is just, it's a mess. You assume everything is contaminated because this is an airborne disease. They don't even have to have contact. So if you are dealing with this, or if your dog starts coughing, even a sneeze, I've got some video that we made at the very beginning of this, thinking we were dealing with a kennel cough, and I was just going to kind of do a informative video on kennel cough. We'll show you what they're doing, but it's a hack, and they will also sneeze, and it is a productive cough.
You're gonna have to wipe them off. I got some on my hands.
Okay, maybe I can wipe them with this. Because I need to know for the puppy that was here. Just FYI, plastic suit makes you sweat. I feel like I'm in a sweatsuit, literally. But that's what we've got going on right now. So our comforts and things like that are extremely secondary to the puppies. So, oh, those are blurry. So this Nurture Mate, and I see Alicia's on from Mystic Mountain. She can correct me if I'm wrong here, but we're going to just read this. First 12 to 24 hours. So 24 hours is really where you're going to get your maximum immune system support. After that, the way it was described to me is there's like little fingers in the gut, and those little fingers are open for that first 24 hours. And it's the same thing in horses. It was my horse vet that put it this way to me. And after that, they kind of start closing. And once they're closed, they can no longer absorb any of the things that we are introducing into their system that are, period, that we are introducing in their system. So they can't absorb it from us nor from their mother after that period of time. So the first 24 hours are the most critical. And that's why the first 24 hours, we usually will give them a little bit of supplementation of the bottle feeding if we have to. But we try to really get them on mom and get that colostrum. Even if we're in here helping to rotate through, if she has the colostrum, we really want them to get that. But in this case, you can, I don't know if you can see or not. She's got a little bit, so I'm getting a little bit out of her, and it's coming in more and more. If I could get some of these guys kind of trying to nurse on her, but they don't have great suckle reflexes. But the more the puppies nurse, it releases what's called oxytocin, and the oxytocin helps them to drop their milk in. So you want to, especially if you're naturally whelping, you want your puppies to start nursing right away, especially if your female only has a little bit of milk. You want to get those puppies on her and get her nursing, and that'll kick in that oxytocin, which will help her, give her the signals to produce more milk. So bottom line, the more the puppies milk, the more mother's natural instinct to produce milk will come in. But you can see these guys aren't even wanting to grab on right now. They're just lethargic, and we don't know whether it's because they're preemie, because they are 2 days premature. Dogs have a very, very short window of premature. What a good girl. You're such a good girl. A very short window that they can be premature and still have healthy puppies. I don't know if any of you were with us for Mariah's litter, but Mariah's litter was also premature, naturally whelped at home. And, oh, you got a little bit of a suckle reflex, buddy, but you see your mouth feels cold from through my gloves. We got to get these guys warm. All right, let's go through and give everybody some of this. What I do, did you hear Cameron trying to breathe?
She was growling.
No, she wasn't growling. That's her. She's got fluid in her lungs. She actually, you can, if you look at the camera, she actually has, you can see the drainage coming out of her nose. It's crusty right now. I know, it doesn't feel good. So we have all of these lives that are depending on us to do everything we can for them. And sometimes everything you have is just not even enough. So this is super stressful. So the nurture mate first 12 to 24 hours are the most critical for newborns to receive colostrum. Orally administer 1 ml to kittens and 2 ml to puppies as soon after birth as possible. When the mother's milk is not available, give newborns 3 to 4 doses in the first 24 hours. Administer at room temperature. So that's also an important fact. You don't ever want to introduce cold into their bodies, because a newborn puppy's body temperature is so important. If they lose body temperature, they will absolutely die. And we've been on the phone helping people try to resuscitate puppies that have just simply gotten out of the heated area and gotten cold. And yes, they are incredibly susceptible when things like that happen. So we just put a little bit on, and it takes 4 or 5 times doing this, but it's the only way to get. If you try and just shove 2 mLs in a puppy's mouth, it's just going to come back out and likely again going to aspirate that, which means it's going to fill up their mouth so much that it's going to come out their nose. And that also means that it is introduced into their lungs. If it comes out of their nose, it means it's in their airway, and that's no bueno. We don't want anything in their airways. We want their airways clean. So we'll keep the bulb sucker, we call it the snot sucker, keep that close and continue doing that. We're going to give all these puppies this, so they're not only getting a supplement of colostrum, put you up here because you're done. They're getting a supplement of colostrum, and they're also getting the plasma, which is going to help with the passive transfer, the actual immune system portion of things, if they don't get it from Cameron. So for right now, they're fed and they're kind of happy. Again, I hate these gloves because it doesn't give me a great gauge on their temperature. Normally, if you're not experienced, I recommend using a thermometer, but even when our dogs aren't feeling well, a great place to be able to just feel if you suspect that your dog might have a temperature, right? You can't see her, but right, yeah, I saw part of that. I don't know that I want them to suckle this, though. It's really thick. I'd have to we use number 1 nipples, and this for sure won't go through that. But yeah, this one here has a great suckle reflex, and I wonder, this I think is the boy that was born here, which is why his umbilical cord is so long, because I haven't gotten to, we were worried about keeping him alive. He was really in rough shape when Eric found him. He was ice cold, and it took, you can't warm them quickly, so yeah, no, this is a girl. That's a girl. You can't warm them up too quickly, so we wrapped them in a heating pad and kept rotating them around. and he finally did warm up. But it took, from the time his body was warm, it took another half hour for his internal temperature, which means me sticking my finger in his mouth. It took another half hour after his body was warm for that to actually normalize again and for his actual internal temperature to rise. I wonder if Eric saw wrong, because this is a boy.
On what?
This is the one that was here, because I'm 90% sure.
There were 2 boys in the pool.
No, the one that was here. This is a boy. This is a boy. This is a, no, that's a girl. This is a girl. We only have 2 boys. The one that was born here is a girl, not a boy. No.
I'm very sure the one who was born here was a boy.
This is a
2 in the
boy.
pool. There's got to be 3 boys. No transgender dogs in there.
Okay, then this has got to be the one that was born here. I just assumed it was the one with the long umbilical cord. This is the one who was born here. So we do have 3 and 3. We're good. If you're waiting on boy puppies, send your prayers up. We keep these guys healthy. We've just got the one black male out of the last litter. I know everybody's waiting on boys. So we do have females available for, they'll be ready. We had to postpone their ear crops. So going back to, we had to call the other vet because they're due to go in for ear crops on Tuesday. And being that we are dealing with this, we didn't want to, even though our puppies aren't sick, we didn't want to potentially contaminate anybody else or spread this. I think that transparency and honesty is always the best route for this, for any situation, but especially something infectious like this. So we called and just out of courtesy told them what was going on, and they have pushed out the ear crops for 2 weeks because we should be clear of it by then, and positive that those puppies are not going to contract anything out there. So we have a suit for in the house. Actually, we don't wear a suit in the house, so we just assume the whole house is contaminated. When we come out here, prior to Cameron being out here, we would put the suit on, come out here, different shoes. There is bleach everywhere. There's Lysol everywhere. We use, if you don't have one, get one. It's the Bissell Crosswave. It's a mop and a vacuum all together. So obviously, I'm sure it says, and Bissell would be upset if I said that, but I'm going to say it anyway. It says only run the Bissell cleaner through there. Now, whether that's because they want all the income from the product or whether they have issues with other cleaners, I don't know. I probably would not run bleach through it. But we run different sanitizers through it. And what it does, most of your sanitizers have to sit on a surface for 5 to 10 minutes wet before they're going to be effective at killing anything. So what I do is I put it on the carpet setting, and that puts more water to the ground than the bare surface setting does. And I'll run that through the whole entire, every hard surface we have in the house. So when we were coming out here, what I would do, because Dora's in the house, loose, and she stays, you know, she doesn't stay, but she sleeps in our bed in our room. So what I would do is I would lock her out. I would sanitize the whole room. I would get, after the room is sanitized, I would take my clean clothes and put them in the sanitized bathroom, and still going to be doing this. And then put the clean clothes on. Obviously, Dora's locked out so that I'm not recontaminating the room. And then I would come out of that room into the puppy room here. And as I stepped out, I would step into clean, sanitized shoes. I would put the suit on. And I wasn't gloving up at that time. Pretty confident that after a shower and then washing my hands after the shower and then antibacterial wipes, my hands were pretty clean. But with these babies, not, you know, I'm really handling them a lot, whereas we had kind of gone to just, you know, having limited contact with the puppies. And for all of you who want photos, I'm very sorry, but with the limited contact, we're just trying to not handle them nearly as much as what we would, and getting photos is really, really difficult when you're trying to not really have a ton of contact with them out there, and just make sure that they have their food, they have their water, they've got their toys, and not exposing them to anything else that's around here. So I apologize for everyone who's waiting on pictures for those from those guys and or videos. But this is what we're dealing with, and that's why we thought, you know, we've got video of the dogs coughing and things, where we were going to make a little, you know, video on what to look for, and we probably still will. I have to get Eric on the editor because I don't know how to do that, and it's a lot of just kind of pieced together footage of each time I take the dogs outside, and they're, you know, they're very quiet in the house. They're not really coughing in the house, but as soon as they go outside and they get the air exchange through their lungs, it's activating everything. And, you know, kind of like yourself, if you get sick, you're going outside, or, you know, you start moving around, then you start coughing. But as long as you're quiet, things kind of stay restful. So that's what we're dealing with in the house. They really get hacking more so when they're outside than inside. This, whatever this is, even kennel cough, we've been told, is 48 hours outside the body. So we don't know how long whatever this is going to live on any given surface. So that's why we're keeping everything separate. If your dog starts sneezing, coughing, you think he's got a fever. Oh, that's what I went into, was going to tell you also, is if your fingers have a real good gauge, my hands tend to run cold. But if you have a good temperature gauge and your dog's just not, you think he's just not feeling well, I put my hand, you can sort of see, right here, like up in between their legs there. And that, for me, is a really good place to check their temperature. If they feel a lot hotter than myself, then likely they have a temperature, and I'm going to go grab a thermometer. But that's a real good place to just do an initial check of, you know, hey, do you have a fever? If they feel normal temperature there, then you're probably good. If they feel a little warm to you, always better to go and grab a thermometer and just check. May not be the most pleasant thing, but we need to keep these guys healthy, and especially right now with whatever this is that's going around. Cameron's now starting to shake a little bit. So she's going to have now her own path. So we have the dogs upstairs who have their path to go out. The dogs downstairs have their path to go out. Now Cameron's going to have her path to go out. And all three areas are now going to be contaminated, while still trying to keep the area where the puppies are non-contaminated. So we've definitely got our work cut out for us here. Yeah, so ear crops have been put off for 2 weeks, so those Corso puppies won't be going home for a while. They are, gosh, I forget the date. Anyways, I'll update anybody who is wanting to know. Just text me and I'll let you know. But we're going to try and get these guys hopefully nursing. Even as I'm sitting here, she's starting to come, her milk is coming in just a touch. Like, it takes a lot of work for me to get out, and I also get a little bit of anxiety about, colostrum is normally this color. It's not quite white. It's more of a, it's like a boogery kind of color to be, I don't know how else to say it, but it's sort of a yellowy color. And there was a litter of bulldogs that was brought to us. The guy had lost a couple puppies already, and they brought the litter to us. And right after that litter came here, I was, you know, normally I always check, you know, I always keep checking your dog's milk, and you always want to be checking them anyways for mastitis, which would be any type of thickening of any of the nipples, or the whole mammary tract. If there's any lumps or bumps or anything, you want to work that out of there, and you want to express all the milk that's coming through there, and it'll have it after day 3. You shouldn't see, Cameron is off of food, and that is something else that the dogs that are sick and symptomatic are also off of food. So typically, if they're off food, you're going to assume they're running a low-grade fever. And that's why we will administer Rimadyl to the dogs who are off food, who are not pregnant and or nursing. Hi, baby girl. She's normally all kinds of licking her puppies, but obviously she's not feeling well on top of all the anesthesia and everything. It's just kind of not fair for her, but we're doing the best we can. Oh, we got one who might be wanting to nurse. Oh, what a good, I think this is one of the boys. Yep. Is it? Come on. You can do it. One thing you'll notice when you give the plasma, these guys didn't, given their current situation, I didn't really expect them to, but typically when you give the plasma, you'll notice your puppies perk up pretty darn quick. It is absorbed very fast. But I tell everybody have plasma on hand. And like I said, we give it to every litter regardless. Come on, you can get a hold of there. Get a hold of it. There you go. Did you get it? And then when they actually do, he's trying, but not actually suckling. I wish you could see. No word. See, he already gave up. There's all the babies. I'm trying to see. I wonder. The bottle isn't strong enough to hold it up. Only thing I need for it to be clear is the camera. There we go. That's a little better, maybe. So not encouraging that the suckle reflex isn't great here. We've got one trying to nurse. It's something. Better than none. I did just give them some food, so they shouldn't be too terrible as far as needing to eat. But we're going to need to make sure that throughout the night that these guys do start actually nursing, because I don't like to unless we have to. But see, you probably can't even see this. I can't zoom out, so I'm sorry. This is on a front-facing camera. Let's see how there's nothing there. You get very, very little. But that's what you're gonna do. It's, I mean, not quite as invasive as a cow, but she really only has one nipple producing, and it's this one right now. Try and get this puppy on this nipple here. I don't even know if you saw that or not. Try to do this with one hand. It's not working too well. Normally I can have Eric hold the camera, but we're trying to keep separation and only one person in here. He's at least looking for a nipple. Oh, sorry, puppy nose on the camera. Nope. They turned it around the other way. Where it zoomed in. That's what happened. Puppy zoomed it in. Sorry. All right. Well, that's our update. Here's some of the puppies up close here. We're gonna just do everything we can to keep these guys from getting sick. Bottom line is, if they were going to, they're probably been already exposed, so at this point we're playing catch up. Everybody has had their plasma. What time is it? I'll be setting alarms for every 3 hours to make sure they keep getting their plasma at 7. They got it around 7 o'clock, so around 10 o'clock, and then 1 a.m., 4 a.m., 7 a.m., etc. They'll be getting their plasma. Now they just got their other, there's another product that is over in the cupboard that I was going to start introducing, and it is, it's for E. coli, and we used to use it in our horses as well. But I just don't know that with the potential that these guys could have already their immune system compromised and already be fighting something, I don't know that I want to introduce anything else to them, even if it is trying to prevent other things from the future. I just don't want it. I want their immune system to just be as strong as it possibly can. So normally I would give that, but right now I'm gonna not administer that and just stick with the colostrum supplement as well as the plasma. So Cameron's every once in a while she takes a bad breath, but I'll have to read how many breathing treatments she's going to get. But yeah, keep your dogs home for now. I mean, it's just not worth. Oh well, I guess that works out okay. It fell down. For right now, until they even know what this is and how to actually treat it, just keep your dogs home. If you can avoid them going to daycare, definitely don't go to any dog parks. It's not just here in the Nashville area. When I spoke with our ear crop vet, one of the techs there is a former professional handler, and she said that she has friends that are, still professional handlers that are all across the country that are dealing with this. And each dog seems to present a little bit different, where some just have a little sneeze or a cough. Others are getting full-blown pneumonia and needing to be hospitalized. So take care of your little fur babies, and if you have a moment, send us a good wish, a good thought, a good anything. We could use any of it. Send us some sleep too, because my goodness, we're going to be up around the clock. Caffeine, thank goodness for caffeine, right? But that's what we're dealing with here, and that's why we have been slow to respond to everybody and not answering the phone. It's just because, if I'm gloved up and suited up, if it's an emergency, I figure somebody will call Eric and he can get to me. But for the most part, unless it is an emergency right now, we're just really focused on what's going on here. See, this one won't suckle either. This boy seems to be the only one who's interested, and he's not really, he wants to, but he's not grabbing a full hold on it. So we're going to hope that now the preemies will have a delayed suckle reflex anyways. When we did Mariah's litter, it took them a good 3 days to suckle, and we had to put them as they were coming out. Sorry, I didn't yawn in your ear. As they were coming out, we had to put them on oxygen. Now these went into the incubator. Obviously the one that was born here on site didn't, but the ones they went into the incubator after they were born at the vet's office, and got some oxygen that way. But we do always keep oxygen on hand, even if you go on that I think the site's called Wish, where you get kind of the cheap stuff. It's inexpensive and generally cheaply made, just given where it comes from. But we had a $1,000 oxygen concentrator that was from a nursing facility, and it took a dump on us. So we ordered one from Wish, and so far that one's we've only had to use it a couple times, but so far it's working. So I always recommend everyone, any breeders, keep an oxygen machine on hand and keep a nebulizer on hand. Talk with your vet. If you have any trouble, they can give you some albuterol, and then that way you can run breathing treatments. But the oxygen is very important to keep on hand if you're having puppies born. Even we had when Bugatti, who he passed away, he was 11 going on 12 years old. But prior to him passing, he had a lump in his throat. It was a non-cancerous lump. Being given his age, we were not in a position to put him under surgery and anesthesia to remove that. I mean, it would have just, he would have passed during surgery. He wouldn't have made it through that anesthesia at that age. But he had a lump, and it was impeding his airway. And as he would eat, we had put him on a soft diet, but he had a habit of eating really, really fast, and he would pick up too much, and he did one time pick up too much, and my son had to shove his arm down his throat and retrieve the food that was down there. But you know, he had given him his food. Again, it's soft, mushy food. He shouldn't have had any trouble with it, but he gave him his food and then came out and fixed himself his own dinner. Come on, you need to nurse. Come on, I know you want to. I know you want to. So he had come out and fixed himself his own dinner and then went back in probably 15 minutes later to check on him. And at that point in time, he had found him, and he was choking on his food. So reached in there, retrieved anything that was, you know, in there, out. And luckily we had the oxygen machine. I mean, he wasn't exchanging oxygen very well at that point. And luckily we had the oxygen machine. See, I don't know if you can see this puppy, but I don't like how lethargic this one is. So I just usually keep moving him around and keep him stimulated. But so he got that out of Bugatti. We got him on the oxygen, and I mean, 5 minutes after he hit the oxygen, he was perfectly fine again. But you know, I don't know how well he would have recovered being older like that and deprived of oxygen, had we not had that oxygen concentrator on hand. So always keep that on hand. Nebulizers are super cheap. You can get them at any store. Keep those on hand as well. And you know, run your plasma. Keep that on hand for your puppies. We always keep the colostrum supplements. Oh, the phone fell. There we go. Cameron is at least feeling a little bit better. She's waking up out of anesthesia. I can see she normally doesn't have saggy eyes, and you can see eyes a little bit saggy. Hold on. There, see right here, you can see her eyes a little saggy. For her it is. She's got pretty tight eyes. Huh? Yeah, she's a good girl though. She's such a good girl, Cammy. There you can get a good overview of. So, camel cloth, canine flu. If anybody else has any information, put it down in the comments if you've already gone through this. If you work at a vet clinic, and but we're gonna do a video on the even just on kennel cough, just with whatever this is. They're waiting on pathology to come back from the dogs that were in clinic, that I think is what we were exposed to. But like I said, they are also finding out from some of the specialty hospitals that if you're not catching it in the first 48 hours, that flu virus is not actually presenting on blood work anymore. It's showing a secondary mitochondrial type infection. So, holy cow, I've been talking for an hour nonstop. Anybody got any questions? Happy to answer them. I can't even think of anything else that's going on right here. Well, we don't know if Jerica's bred. Kat and Kira, we believe were, but not sure with this coughing. We may. That's we were saying, like, if this runs its course with, normally we don't breed this many at a time, but everyone cycled at the same time. And we thought, you know, it's winter time. Let's just get these litters out of the way for the winter time. We've got a lot of people on the waiting list for males. Practically none for females. I don't know what information is out there, or what, whether it's YouTubers or Google or just general consensus, but seems like everybody wants a male, and I'm not exactly sure why. Whether it's just a male dominant thing that people think they're not going to get a good dog unless they get a male. But any educated breeder that has, I guess the word that people are going to is traditionally bred Corso. A traditional temperament is going to make them a natural dog. Our experience with the dogs that we breed and the bloodlines we have, our females are considerably more protective and intuitive than the males. And depending on your breeder, we've had some females that are bigger than our males. So it's just kind of up to your breeder to know what they have, what their lines produce. Um, they just I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about males versus females, and I don't know whether it's coming from some of the YouTube channels or Google searches, but I always tell people, don't get your education from pet owners on YouTube. Terrible idea to get your information from there. It's also a terrible idea to get it from Google. Contact a breeder who has been in the breed for a minimum 5 years, has more than 2 litters a year, and has had their hands on at least 100 of these dogs. That's going to give you your best advice and your best opinion. AKC has a Breeder of Merit program. By being a Breeder of Merit, you do have to meet other standards. Typically, it's a breeder who's been in the breed longer. You have show requirements you have to meet and health testing requirements you have to meet. And generally, I say generally because it's not a foolproof system, but generally, your Breeder of Merit's going to have more experience with the breed and be able to give you good breed advice. So ask your breeder, are you a Breeder of Merit? How many years have you been breeding? Who is your mentor? How many years have they been breeding? We mentor people who I think are great breeders, and they're sometimes just starting out, but they have somebody who always they have somebody to call anytime they have a question, so they're not just winging it. And the biggest reason why you need experience in your breeder is because I can give you a lifetime health guarantee, but if I don't have the experience to help you, your health guarantee isn't worth the paper it's written on. So, people will say, oh, well, I got a 2-year guarantee and I got breeder support for life. Well, great. Where's your breeder right now? Because you're on the phone with me, and that means that your breeder either couldn't answer your questions or didn't answer the phone. And both of those are generally likely. So, pay more, support the breeders who are doing it right, that are going to be there to support you, because Tracy, I believe, is watching and moderates our page that we have on Facebook, which is Cane Corso. I think it's Adoption and Rehome. She can correct me if I'm wrong. And waiting for Tracy to chime in here. Maybe she's not on anymore. I don't know. But that Rehome and Adoption page is a real big eye opener to, people sometimes contact us and they say, oh my gosh, your dogs are way too expensive, and they go find a cheaper one. Yes, you'll find a cheaper one. But those cheaper dogs, the breeders aren't there for you, and they're not there to support you. And that's why there are so many dogs on Tracy. What's the Rehome page? Is it Cane Corso Adoption and Rehome, or Rehome and Adoption? But that page is just flooded with dogs. If you're looking for a Corso and you don't have a minimum $3,500 to spend, just go on that page and see if you can adopt something that a breeder has already failed an owner. That's all that is full of, because any responsible breeder will never have their dogs on there unless it's an actual breeder that has taken, like if we were to take a dog back, we're going to put it on there. Oh, there, she put a link in there. Tell me, for the replay won't show the comments, I don't think. So Tracy, can you tell me if it's Adoption and Rehome or Rehome and Adoption? Anyways, all of these dogs, the first thing that is said is, did you contact your breeder? If somebody has one of our dogs and they contact us, we take the dog back. So that's the only way you're going to see one of our dogs on there, is if we've already taken the dog back and or we're trying to help the person to rehome the dog. But most of them are breeders who just don't care. They've paid anywhere between $1,500 and $2,500 for the dog. The temperament went sour, the health went sour, they're moving, they can't take the dog, whatever the situation may be. Sometimes it's not a bad dog, it's just a bad situation. And a honestly shitty breeder who won't stand behind their product. Or, okay, so it's Cane Corso Adoption and Rehome group is how you find that on Facebook. And there's a limit set at no more than $500 for what they can charge for those dogs on there. We don't really get involved in the details of the adoption. That's kind of between the people. It just creates legality for us, and we can't be involved in that portion of it. But you can find many, many dogs on there that are looking for homes for whatever reason. But generally, any of them that are on there are going to probably be from a breeder who didn't give a crap. $350 is where the cap is, she's saying, $350. So no more than $500. And if they're trying to charge more, please contact Tracy and let her know. We do sometimes get people on there trying to peddle their puppies. But that's why you want to get your advice from experienced breeders. And an experienced breeder, I get these calls all the time and they say, wow, thank you so much for spending the time with me on the phone and answering my questions. A good experienced breeder will take their time and answer your questions. They're not just going to be, hey, are you going to send a deposit? Are you going to send a deposit? Are you going to send a deposit? They're going to be answering your questions. So, yes, getting it on the list and getting a deposit in is an important part of this factor, especially if you're wanting a male dog, because most of your good breeders will have a waiting list. So fill out an application, get your deposit in, but the very first thing you need to do is choose your breeder, and choose your breeder wisely, because this is an investment. This is a dog you're going to be living with for, their average lifespan is 8 to 12 years. So this dog could potentially be raised, alongside your children. You really need to know what the temperament's going to be. And I think that's the biggest thing that we've seen change lately is, it's the temperaments that are changing, because we have so many people who have gotten into the breed just thinking it's a cash cow, and they don't care about anything but the money. And people trying to push and peddle, full rights. They'll charge you more right up front. Not every dog is a breeding quality dog. And if they're trying to sell you breeding rights with your dog, why is that dog breeding quality? These are questions you need to be asking. If you want a pet and they say, oh, well, maybe you should buy breeding rights. Why would you want to buy breeding rights? Well, because they want you to pay more money for the dog. You don't need breeding rights on that dog. And they probably can't give you 3 reasons as to why it's superior than its litter in order to warrant it should have breeding rights. They're just trying to get more money out of you. So ask these questions. We have so many videos we need to do, guys. Like, we could go live almost 24/7. Somebody had said we need to have a camera crew come here and do a breeder show on us, because we've just been doing this for so long. But I would say temperaments are the number one thing we've seen go downhill lately, and it's because inexperienced breeders are crossing lines. They're not paying attention to the little things that you can't breed a dog that is skittish to one that is aggressive. I mean, common sense would tell you that skittish and aggressive is going to make skittish and aggressive, and that's what we're seeing in a lot of the dogs that are contacting us, needing help. They're I was trying to let you. She's actually breathing normal. That's a normal Corso snore. I see Bambi's on here. You can see your baby. Cameron has a home already lined up for her. She's been waiting for her. I said her name. I woke her up. She's been waiting over a year for her. This is her 3rd and final litter. Another thing, responsible breeders should not overbreed their females. And, sometimes breeders catch flack for rehoming their dogs, but honestly, if I can give her an opportunity to live in a home, go on vacations, sleep in a bed, just have that one-on-one or even 2-on-1 family dog attention. Our dogs are loved. They're very well cared for, but we can't give them the type of attention and time that somebody can who has them as a pet. So for us, the right thing to do, these dogs don't owe us anything. They just are amazing. Most of them are just amazing mothers for us. They don't owe us a dime. One of my pet peeves are breeders who sell dogs after they've already had, even one litter. I don't care if it was a small litter. That dog put its life on the line for you, and it doesn't owe you anything else. So I don't care if it's the best trained obedience dog in the world. I think that the right thing to do is to find them a good home. I don't ever advocate that people, advertise that dogs are free, but, if you're willing to pay a rehoming fee, then, typically you can say, look, take that rehoming fee and invest it into things that'll make the dog more comfortable, make the transition more comfortable for them. And we've not had any issues with transitioning them into new homes. They do transition very, very well. Look at her actually sniffing our puppy. Oh, maybe the puppy was sniffing her. Poor Cammy. Poor Cammy. But there's a lot that goes into the breeding that it's not just puppies and collecting checks. There's a lot that goes into it. We've probably dropped what? Are you still there, Eric?
Yeah.
What have we probably put? Close to 10 grand in our vet in the last 4 months?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, he's saying easily. And that's just making sure the dogs are healthy, running our health checks. Oh, sneak peek for anybody who is listening right now. We had, let's see, Jerica, Kat, Kira, and Louie all just went in for they're all 2. Well, Louie was 3. Kat and Louie are siblings, and they will be 3 here shortly. December. They're Christmas babies. So they're 2.5, but we sent them all in for their final health testing. We did prelims on everybody. Everybody came back good, clear hearts, normal elbows, good hips. But Louie came back with excellent hips. That is super rare in the Corso breed. So we are just, should I go to the word I hate? We're stoked.
Flabbergasted.
we're just we're thrilled about that. We've only had one other Corso come back excellent, and that was Tina, who is Fig's mom. So that is Louie's grandmother. So hopefully that line pushing some good hips through there. Super happy about that because nobody's really seen Louie mature, but if you did, he's pretty incredible. He's just as nice as Fig is. This is a crabby puppy. Hold on, there he is. You hear the noise? That's what they make usually when they want to or need to nurse. You hear those noises, there's something going on. That's not a happy puppy. Happy puppy is sleeping and quiet. So if your puppies are crying, tend to them. They're either cold or they're hungry, just like a human baby. If they're sleeping and they're quiet, they're happy. Now, there is a difference in cries that they get. And it's something that I hope that we don't ever have to share with you. But yeah, there's a certain cry, and that means things are just not good, no matter what you're doing. And like I said, hopefully we don't have to share any of that with you. But we wanted everybody to be aware of what's going on, why we are kind of not on the phone, haven't been answering emails. I'm trying to keep up with text messages. If you need us, text myself or Eric, and we'll try and get an answer back to you. But you can see these guys are waking up, so hopefully we'll be able to get them on. Nipples. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the phone to where it can see Cameron and the puppies, and yeah, I can use 2 hands, and it's just not working well. We need to get the tripod thing with the gorilla arms that hooks on there. Yeah. But that doesn't hold a phone.
It does.
I don't know if anybody heard that. That was her taking a deep breath. You can hear that in her lungs when she takes a deep breath. Good girl, Cammy. Just a good girl, Cam. So she's going to have her path to go outside and go potty. The other ones are locked outside. Haven't done any live feeds on them. The contractor kind of didn't do us a whole lot of favors with, we've still got to get the heat out there for them. Still got to get the cameras wired, some additional lights wired. But they are covered now with a very secure, supposedly hurricane-proof roof system. We haven't had a storm, knock on wood. We're going to actually do that. Has tested it, but it looks nice and secure. Kind of halfway finished, but when people work slow hourly, you run out of money quick. So, anyways, that's our lessons for today. Keep your puppies at home for right now. Keep your dogs home. Don't expose them to other places unless you have to. If you have friends and family that are coming over that have been somewhere with high dog traffic, ask them to go home and change and or just postpone some things until they really know what this is, where it's at, how they're going to treat it. It's no fun. So I can't express that enough. Nobody wants to deal with this stuff. So if your dog is sneezing, coughing, anything like that, contact your vet. Don't just walk them into the vet's office. That's potentially why we are dealing with what we are dealing with, is because somebody had brought in an infectious and or contagious dog into our vet's clinic, and the vet was not aware, and our dogs were there before any symptoms presented. So it is what it is at this point. And the only thing we can do is try to make our best decisions moving forward. Like I said, if anybody has any suggestions, we're open to it. But as far as, having, that's awesome. It just keeps falling. As far as having, I don't feel like we can do more than bio suits, rubber gloves, bleach. Probably ruined our wood floors in the house with all the sanitization. But I started to talk about that Bissell Crosswave, and what I really like about that is you put it on the carpet setting, and it puts down more liquid to the ground. Just kind of make sure that when you put your mixture in the tank, that you've got your mixture set on sanitization, because a lot of products will have a cleaning, just for your general purpose cleaning, and then also for sanitizing things. Typically they say they'll only work on non-porous surfaces, but you're not going to hurt anything by applying them to any porous surfaces. We also follow behind with Lysol for porous surfaces, but that Bissell will put down enough liquid on the carpet setting that it will take a minimum of 5 to 10 minutes to dry, and that's what you're looking for in order for it to have contact and stay wet for that long. You have to keep, the surface has to remain wet for, you'll read the directions, but most of them are minimum 5, generally 10 minutes. So with that Bissell putting the sanitizer down, it's easier for us anyways than running a mop. And what I like about it is it's exchanging, so it's picking up the dirt that's on the floor and then putting down sanitizer. Again, not exactly what the product was created for, but that's how we use it. And I don't know, we feel like it's effective for sanitizing. It's what we do right now throughout the whole house. And there's a lot of good products out there. Obviously bleach is one that kills just about everything, but bleaching hardwood floors and things like that it's something that we will do if it's necessary. But right now we're using ProVet Logic. They have a kennel sanitizer that kills just about everything. Wyze Wash, which I believe is WYZE. They also have one. It's a pelleted form, so you don't have to store liquids. And that's a great one. You can even do your yard with it. Again, they're going to say for non-porous surfaces, but if you've got something that you're trying to contain, or you think that someone may have come over your house and their dog, wasn't coughing until just before it left. Also, be aware that intranasal Bordetella vaccine, a lot of vets are really pushing that right now because they don't know if this is a different strain, if it's, a different strain of Bordetella, or how it's starting, but it presents initially as a kennel cough situation. So, keep some of those sanitizers on hand. I think the ProVet Logic and Wyze Wash, I think both of those you can get on Amazon. If not, just Google them and you can find where to get those products. I'd like to get set up to where we can have links and things like that for all of our products that we use and recommend, so that we can put them all in one place. And we really would like to get that organized, so that when we recommend something, it's easy for you to find. But the ProVet Logic is currently what we're using. It's what we're laying down on our floors. No idea yet how it's going to affect the floors, because honestly, I'm using it a little bit heavier right now than what we normally would. And I had been using Odoban. Odoban runs through that Bissell machine pretty good. It's not indicated for all dog viruses. We also use a product called Neutral Q, and the other one's Neutral something or other, but it dilutes a 1/2 ounce per gallon. So what you want to prevent in those in the Bissell machine is sudsing, because it doesn't like suds. I found that out the hard way. It'll blow out through the filter and everything else. But that'll lay down your sanitizer. It'll pick up the dirt and grime that are on the floor, because this is something that is both, you know, it's going to be in any saliva or drool or slobber, however you want to say that. The dogs are going to produce it. They're not only do, but when they're going to produce a foamy substance. And so you want to make sure that, like, we're not going to use our hands and paper towel and wipe that up, because we have many different areas here and trying to contain it. So we're going to go in with that Bissell and clean it. That way we are not physically having contact with it. So we're going to run that over it 5 or 10 times, make sure that all of the whatever, whether it's saliva or something, till you can just dump it down the toilet. There's something really nasty in there, which it generally won't suck up anyway, anything but dirt and hair. So we'll dump it down the toilet and flush it, and then run the sanitizer through the brush and just keep the Bissell in the same spot. Don't run it on the floor, just keep it in the same spot, and or take a little bit of the sanitizer in a cup and put it in a puddle on the floor and let it suck it up, and that way you're sanitizing that brush after you've gone through there. So, starting out with a fresh, clean thing. With this, feel free to put it in the comments, email us, text us. We can put it in our next video. It's always good, especially when you're dealing with something unknown like this. Right, Cammie? But that is our update. Would like to see if this puppy will nurse. I know you want to nurse. Let's see if we can get you to do it. Here. Oh, look at that. I think you got it. That's the one that was born here. Can you see him? He's nursing. Am I in the way? He's right here. He's actually nursing. There, we'll bring this in here so you can see. He's actually doing it. That's good. We got one. You see him? Now I need her to produce milk in her other nipples so that we can have more than one nurse at a time. So I'll probably give her milk thistle. Is really good for, see, I don't know if you can see them or not, but I'm still not getting any milk at all on it out of any of these other nipples, like 0. Typically it'll come into the back ones first, so I may have to keep rotating her side to side, but I've only got one nipple on this side. This one's got a tiny bit coming out now. And I like to not have them eat the very first milk. I like to push a little bit out, just because there could be some contamination in the nipple that, you didn't get washed off 100%. You just never know. So those first few drops of milk, I like to just kind of wipe off and discard that, just because. All right, let's see if you want to try this one. I know it's not very big. When their nipples, I guess when their mammary glands aren't very full, it's harder for the puppies because the nipples are just kind of flat. They don't really have that nipple-like feel to them. But if you put a little bit of milk out onto the end of the nipple, and then you put the puppy on there, it will typically help them to taste that, and then they tend to go on there a little better. I'm getting a little bit out of this back one also. So I have confidence that by later tonight, we'll have milk out of at least these 3 nipples. Hopefully 4. I can't get to the one that's on the other side, and I don't want her to have to move. She's starting, this is kind of a sign of a fever also. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see her trembling some? If your dog is doing that, a lot of times that is a sign of a fever. So and get the thermometer out and take her temperature again and see if it's coming down. Doesn't help that, well, she's not, so the heat ends, the heating pad ends right here. So she's actually not laying on the heat, which is why I like the way that this is set up, because I can keep the mothers off the heat while the puppies are still on the heat. I don't like heat lamps because of the fire hazard. Just have anxiety about fire hazards, I guess, and we've never used the heat lamps. I do need to get this off of her, though, where her IV was. Let's pull that quick, Cam. Hold on. Let's pull this off of you. I promise this is the last time. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I'm so sorry it happened to you. Yeah. I'm so sorry. She's such a good girl. Yeah. There you can hear. When she was sitting up, you could hear her labored breathing a little bit. You can hear the fluid in her lungs. Yeah. 10. Also keep a stethoscope. That helps. It helps, doesn't it? Can you hear her? Thank you for the kisses. There, you can hear it a little bit. Oh, she also had, there were 7 puppies. She had a dead puppy, so keep in mind these are a little preemie, but she also had one that was dead in there, and the vet was thinking that was probably why her fever was spiking, thinking that she's going to feel a lot better just getting that one puppy out of there alone, but she thinks that that was probably related to whatever this is going on. So definitely lost one to that already so far. Hopefully we can keep all these other guys healthy through all of our invasive practices. But if you've got litters, sometimes you just really, as much as people say, let nature take its course, sometimes you really do have to get in there and get aggressive with some treatments if you want to save lives. So that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to get ahead of this if it's at all possible. You poor thing. Can you see how much crap is on her nose? You got crap on her nose. She don't want me to wipe it either. I know. I'm sorry. I don't want to bother you too much. But we'll get off of here. Thanks everybody for staying with us for so long. I hope that you've gotten any information that may help somebody in the future. We try and teach something with every time we get on YouTube. We try and give some sort of advice. So we've covered sickness, some sanitization processes, as always, choosing the correct breeder. Don't buy a cheap dog, buy a good dog. You can always buy a cheap product from anywhere, but quality will quality kind of pulls through, and quality is generally related to price, just because to produce a quality product it takes more money, but you also want somebody who has the experience to back you up, to answer your questions later on. That breeder support is actually worth the writing of it on paper. So choose your breeders wisely, and criticize me for it, but these dogs, it was a few years back, it was I believe it was in Ohio. I don't remember 1,000%, but these dogs can and will kill a child if they are not stable in the mind. So I know a lot of people get these for family guardians. Please just be very, 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 very careful. As somebody who's been in this breed for going on 17 years, we've watched this breed deteriorate. That term shit show comes up a lot, and that's kind of where the Corso breed is heading, just because there's so many people breeding them and peddling puppies, and they have no clue what they're doing. This is a very powerful, large guardian breed, and if you're not prepared to take the time to make sure your temperaments are right, you shouldn't be health and temperaments. You shouldn't be breeding them. It's just, you know, we have a zero tolerance policy for especially for temperaments. I'm not saying that we breed unhealthy dogs, but the temperaments have to be there because our families trust us, and they trust us to supply them with their family members that are going to essentially be guardians of their children, and that's something that we don't take lightly at all. It's a very serious commitment, and when people trust us to do that, we have to have zero tolerance within our own kennel. And sometimes that means that, you know, we won't breed a dog that we thought we were going to. Genetics are a funny thing. They aren't always a guarantee. And, you know, some dogs that you say, you know, well, the whole rest of the litter is fine. We actually had one. The whole rest of the litter was perfectly fine. And this one male dog just had, you know, a series of bad circumstances. And by the time he got to us, he was just too far gone. We don't know whether, you know, that any portion of genetics played a part in that, but even though he was sired by what was the top dog in the country, and, you know, out of an extremely line for his female, his mother, his maternal side, we opted to not include him in the breeding program. So there's a lot of times, you know, very hard decisions you have to make based on, you know, a 10% probability. So if there's a 10% probability that we're going to put a dog that could potentially have a dangerous temperament into a home where someone has entrusted us with their family, it's a no-go. So very hard decisions that breeders have to make. So keep that in mind and support your good breeders. You know, we aren't the only one out here that's doing it right, but you know, there's plenty of breeders who have been breeding for, you know, 10 plus years, and you can call them and they'll answer your questions. We do not run our dogs as a pack. We don't think it's a pack breed. We won't sell them into a situation where they are required to be a pack. It's just kind of a ticking time bomb if you really know the breed. So that's it for today. Give us some well wishes for these puppies, please. Do regular updates on these guys. I'm trying to remember to bring my phone in here. It's yet another thing I need to sanitize and sterilize when I bring it in here with me. But I'll try and do that and stick it in my pocket. And that's it for today. Thanks for staying with us, and I hope that we've given anybody or everybody something to take away from this. Keep your babies home for now. Let's figure out what this crap is and how to treat it before we get any more dogs sick. So thanks for watching. We're signing off. Bye-bye. Say bye, Cammy. She's giving me the side eye. Very cool. Hi, baby girl. Hi. You're such a cool girl. All right, I gotta figure out how to turn this thing off. The X, maybe? Are you sure you want to stop? Yes.